not ready. Welcome to the 45th episode of News Dump, where we run through the hottest topics in the Lewis County news scene and discuss. I'm Chronicle Associate Editor Aaron Vantile, joined as always by another editor in Eric Schwartz and reporter Claudia Eric Rosane.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Rosane, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys doing
I have to point out that he was our number one choice for filling in for Claudia this evening. Claudia is at a Southwest Washington Fair meeting, and she's going to be reporting whether or not there's going to be a fair, I think.
Oh, well, that's big news.
I'm sure they're not going to make the decision tonight, so...
Well, she skipped the podcast for nothing. It's Tuesday, May 4th, and we also have some big news. Schwartz and I have been invited by some of the higher-ups at TransAlta to take a tour of the land out Big Hannaford Way to learn more about the process. Schwartz, have you issued a response to the inquiry yet?
Actually, I think I told her I was going to ask you about it, and then I was going to get back to her, and I asked you about it, and I haven't got back to her yet, but I plan to do that very soon.
Well, my initial thought was that this is just old man TransAlta inviting a handful of special children out to his facility for a tour during which we'll be tempted with tasty pond water and elk and some frogs, but told not to eat any of them. And then at the end of the tour, yes, he'll give the land away to one of us. It's definitely a Willy Wonka situation.
I think that's lovely. So the TransAlta workers will kind of like carry people off as they fail in various ways.
Someone will turn into a blueberry, unfortunately.
No, it'd be a big chunk of coal.
If you like coal, you should follow me. That kind of thing.
Yeah. It's about enough of that, Aaron.
I think that's the end of my singing for today. Should we get into news, fellas?
Let's do it.
Now that we've got a boys' club on the podcast, finally.
Uh-oh.
Claudia's the star, as the recent review said. The most recent podcast review was accurate in that it labeled Claudia as the star of the podcast. And then I believe there was a man saying that, his wife really liked you, Aaron.
Wow, what a...
Not liked you, but thought you were funny.
What a crushing blow for that fella.
What a crushing blow for the one host that was omitted entirely from the review. So
I hope you recover from that.
I won't.
Our first news item is budget proposals, and there is $161 million in the 20th district projects in the budget.
Capital budget.
The capital budget, of course. What other budget would we be talking about?
Transportation budget?
Yeah, the supplemental capital budget.
Aaron.
Oh, yes,
you look like
course.
a fool.
I know. I know nothing about how the state works. I'm sorry. Anyway, which of these projects really pique your curiosity over there?
Oh, man, that's...
There's so many good ones.
There's a lot. Eric Rosane could talk about one. There's $2.5 million for a hydrogen fueling station in Wales.
Yeah, $2.55 million is listed in the capital budget for a hydrogen refueling station. And essentially, they're going to be building this out over the next year, just off of exit 74. And a lot of the people I'm actually talking to for a larger story say this is probably going to be pretty big for industry out in the port. So, you guys can stay tuned for that story. That'll be pretty cool.
Hydrogen fueling.
We've got $3.55 million for the Lewis County PUD for a substation and transmission facility in Winlock, which we all know will soon be the major hub of commerce in Lewis County.
A lot of people talking about Winlock.
A lot of people talking about it.
$400,000 for the courthouse? They're going to bring the Skybridge back, aren't they?
I don't know.
I hope so.
Hopefully it's for the 911 center. I mean,
I guess that's
I think they've had
important,
some
too.
upgrades, but I think they could use some more.
But a Skybridge.
I don't know.
That'd be so much cooler.
There used to be one. It was beautiful.
Yeah,
Got condemned, I think.
There's $300,000 for a new fish hatchery on the Cowlitz River. $283,000 for Worden Park in Vader.
Oh, good for Vader.
Yeah, $259,000 for Shattuck Park in Napavine.
Is that Mamie Shattuck Park?
That's Mamie. That's the same. So, yeah, lots of good stuff. $200,000 for modernization of schools in Morton, PL, and Toledo.
We got $3.4 million for a teacher education facility and family development center and other improvements at Centralia College. Good to see the college getting some funding. $70 million for the Office of the Chehalis Basin. I think that's the biggest one on there. What is that $70 million going towards?
I am not an expert on this topic. Swear I wish Claudia were here instead of Eric Rosane.
Oh, man.
No offense. No, I mean, they got a similar appropriation in the last budget, and I think it's just so they can continue. They're on the path, and not to say that it'll happen, for a dam on the upper reaches of the Chehalis, but also just millions upon millions of dollars in projects to improve fish habitat. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach, and that is where that money is going, I believe.
All right. In other budget news, the 19th district got $168.6 million, which prompted Jim Walsh, your favorite legislator,
I didn't say that. I respect the man.
to say they outperformed the budget, which, given the context of a few comments on that story, makes it kind of seem like a kid bragging about eating the most dinner at a restaurant he hates.
Yeah, it's always both on the 20th and the 19th, both are represented by Republicans who, loathe government spending. But when the capital budgets roll out, everybody's trying to get their piece of the pie. And once you get those projects funded, that's one area I think everybody can agree on is the capital budget because you're getting local projects done. So.
Yeah, it's just peeling a banana and shouting, "Look what I did!" at everybody.
Why peeling a banana? I don't understand.
Yeah.
There was a letter to the editor from a Montesano reader who said, Rep. Jim Walsh is boasting about the $5 billion in stimulus money that our district is getting, and he voted against it. This man is a con and an agitator and has no place in good government. Eric Schwartz, your thoughts?
I would not call anyone that. I don't believe, not publicly anyways, definitely privately. But he is not a con man, I don't think. Agitator, though, he's been known to mix it up a bit, for
He's
sure.
a little performative, as I've said many a time on this podcast.
He can be performative, but I also think he's a very present lawmaker. I do enjoy his almost daily video updates where he'll directly answer questions from constituents. I don't see any other lawmaker doing that as far as taking the time each day to do it. And his motives might be, political in some aspects, but on the other hand, he does a good job of connecting with his constituents.
His people seem to enjoy him, and he's entertaining. I'll give him that.
Yes,
He's always up to something.
And I'm always interested to see what neckwear he's wearing because he always kind of has a bandana around his neck.
Yes, or an ascot maybe.
Yeah,
Something.
yeah, but people like to pitch him as being a bit of an extremist. At least his critics do, and I always circle back. Like I don't think that's true. And at the rallies he's attended and provided his speech at about the strength of various amendments to the Constitution,
He has a favorite.
Yeah, he has at times tried to calm down the crowd, especially right after the siege on the Capitol when there was a follow-up rally in Olympia, and he was like, "Everybody, let's just calm down a little bit."
Yeah.
Whatever happened to those, too?
I don't know.
No rallies.
There hasn't been one in a while.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Probably helps that the session's out, but yeah, they did stop.
No political activity on the campus? What?
He's got to be a happy man though. They tore down the fences up there today, or
Right.
today or yesterday afternoon.
Was he up there performatively shouting, "Capitol security, tear down this fence"?
I like to think that he just showed up and just tap danced across the restricted area, like literally tap danced live on Facebook.
I would enjoy seeing a
could
video
see
of him
that.
tap dancing anywhere.
Well.
Our next item, the Centralia Schools levy, is passing by 69 votes. That's good.
Wow, the anticipation.
I know. I'm sure nobody has heard this news yet.
Walk us through it, Eric. You are the reporter on that story. Take us from election night to the second count.
Right, yeah. And so essentially, I'm the new, if I can introduce myself, I'm the new city and education.
Oh, you want to be introduced now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, so education in Lewis County is my beat, and essentially on election night, the levy was failing by, I believe it was about 23 votes.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, and so there was still some hope out there that late voters could help push this through into positive territory, into a majority essentially that it needs to pass. And of course, these are, when we say levy, these are funds that are essentially going to basic education programs and programs such as special education and athletics that students have. And so the next day, the count essentially did I think it was a quite a substantial turn in the other direction, and now it's passing by 69 votes, which is pretty huge. So essentially, speaking with Superintendent Lisa, the superintendent, we essentially learned that it was those late voters that really pushed this levy into positive territory, into a majority. So it's pretty exciting.
It would have been a triple levy failure, which would have just been absolutely crippling to the district, in my opinion, and I think most people's opinions.
And there's always the issue when this kind of thing comes up where people ask what levy funds are and what they fund compared to I saw some people online comparing it to the bond that passed 2 years ago. Levies are usually, I was also an education reporter, believe free, some 15 years ago.
Thank you for your service.
Usually levies, as you mentioned, cover learning opportunity things like paraeducators. There is some funding for athletics, and generally any addition special programs. If I were to compare it to something, I would say, imagine your school curriculum is like a new car, and the state will fund your base model, which comes with, hand roll windows and a manual transmission. And then you add levy funds to cover things like cruise control or air conditioning, which is sometimes a literal...
airbags.
Yeah. A literal comparison here. Power steering, power windows, any of the bells and whistles that you might take for granted. So that's kind of the difference there. Construction bonds are for buildings, literally buildings.
Thanks
not
for breaking
learning
it down.
things.
It's important.
Those fans of Inside Baseball should know that we posted a story that said it was ahead by 69 votes, and it was up for about 2 minutes, and a very high-placed and unnamed county official reached out to let us know that it was not passing and that we had done the math wrong or something to that effect. And so I took the story down and had to wait like an hour, and finally, after speaking to the county official, he was incorrect. So,
and then Roseanne came back and was like, actually, I have done the math.
I actually don't do a whole lot of math, but Another thing to also, I think, an important point on this before we move forward, this is of course, as Schwartz said, this would have been the, a triple levy failure. But the school district over these, the last two levies has really been listening to, to the constituents essentially, and they've essentially lowered it from $2.50 when they tried to per 1,000 assessed to what it is now $1.50, I believe. So, and that final count is on Thursday before it gets certified on Friday.
All right.
Thurston County voters not fans of the levy.
No, 2/3, I believe, voted against it.
They hated it.
Does it go out to the levy? Like, it doesn't go out to it just goes out to the Centralia School District.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the boundaries.
Sure.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, over in Chehalis, we had a story on them potentially teaching kids to fly.
Yeah, there's quite the difference in the two school districts there that I think most people are aware of. You having illegally shipped your child into the Chehalis School District knows that better than anyone.
Yes, it was not my move. But yeah, this is Emily Jordan, a teacher in the Chehalis School District, receives $10,000, looks like a grant, to take a course and improve aviation classes at school, and her son, Henry Jordan, are both learning to fly.
Yeah. It was
pretty cool.
It was a very cool story to write and report, and that was a me joint. It was so great to talk with them, and you could tell that she's a physics teacher at WF West, and essentially she's been teaching these aviation courses.
You're telling me they don't have a dedicated aviation teacher at WF West?
Yet.
Well, the
don't
boy
rule
is transferring.
Yeah, so and it was great to see. I spoke with Henry, Emily Jordan. She's a teacher there. I spoke with her son, who is a junior at the high school, and he seemed super smitten about flying and aviation, and he wants to go into the industry and essentially be an operator of some sort, so whether that's on commercial jets or wherever it takes him.
Support your schools, and your district too can reach the sky.
That's a good.
Wow,
good
what
point.
a slogan! Is that just off the cuff, or did you write that down?
Oh, that was off the cuff, right off the cuff.
All right, we have a very special feature coming up now. We're talking about Vader May Day kicked off festival season in Lewis County.
And we are going to go through, and each of us will present our. Are we going to do a Mount Rushmore of local festivals?
I think Eric Roseanne has to be exempt from this, being new to the area.
Oh, come on. No, I don't know any of these events.
All right, so Schwartz and I will do a top 3 draft of festivals.
Okay.
Schwartz, you can have the first pick.
I'm going to go with the granddaddy of all logging shows.
Oh, dang it.
Morton Loggers Jubilee, no question.
I will counter that with Brooklyn's Saginaw Days, a more true blue, a real working man's logging competition.
That's questionable. This one I wholly expect is going to get flagged, but Packwood Flea Market.
I don't think that, I would flag that one.
We need a ruling on the field, Eric Roseanne.
Packwood Flea
Does the
Market,
Packwood
festival
Flea
or not?
Market classify as a festival?
They do it
It's
twice.
a flea market?
No. Jeez.
No help.
This isn't going to help.
I'm sorry, I was drinking
All right,
water.
I'll pick a different number 2. I'm going to go with Tenino's Oregon Trail Days.
Wow, that's great for you. I'm getting a phenomenal value
But
with the second
I
pick.
pull in the 4 square mile music festival is part of it. So that's why I take that one.
That's fine. I'm getting an absolute value pick in the second round with the Francis Swing Fest.
That's good.
I'm going swinging, baby.
You're going small. You're going micro. And
He wants to do stuff.
I
smaller
just
ones.
want to get out there and mix it up, man.
Yeah.
So I get one more pick.
With your
for
last
my,
round pick.
For my top 3. Oh, man,
Festival
this one's
irrelevant.
hard. This one is difficult. It was the Mossy Rock Blueberry Festival.
Oh, wow, you're going there.
But that one's been taken out of the running this year. They're replacing that with a 4th of July festival. So
It's
I'm
actually called the Mossy Rock Freedom Festival.
This is
now.
the equivalent of drafting someone out of like a third world country because you don't really know if they have what it takes to compete
Not a
at
lot
this
of tape
level.
on this
But
festival.
I'm taking the Mossy Rock Freedom Festival
He
at
believes
number
in it.
3.
Wow. I'm getting another absolute banger with Winlock Egg Days. I'm going to the Egg Days dance downtown. I'm just going to mix it up, eat some sandwiches. They've been just mayo and egg laying there in the sun for days.
Oh yeah.
Can I interject right there? I did not know that the world's largest egg was in Winlock.
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
Undisputed. Don't let anyone tell you any different.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's
That's
other,
so cool.
other eggs out there that are claiming to be bigger and appear to be larger, but it's fake.
I'm learning something
A
every
few
day.
notable picks we left on the board. Onalaska Apple Harvest Festival.
That's a solid
You
one.
got that. The Garlic Festival in Chehalis. The Fair. I don't think the Fair counts. And we don't know if it's happening. We're going to have to wait for Claudia to tell us.
Yeah. Well, she's not going to know today. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. But
Centralia Antique Fest,
that's a
which
good
is
one.
where the stores open the doors and the antiques run amok in the streets.
Summerfest.
Summerfest, Napa Vine Fun Time Festival, the worst named festival. But it is fun.
Yeah, people work really hard on it, so I don't want to.
It's just like that.
Cut it
Yeah, they
down.
work hard on it, but also the name seems like somebody drafted up and just like left it in the working stages. Like, that's the working name.
Yeah, at least it wasn't like Princess Napawina days.
It's true.
We had a tougher road on that one.
Rochester Swede Day.
Yeah, that's a good
So-
one.
Can you guys tell me a little bit about Rochester Swede Day as an outsider?
They got meatballs and there's a karate competition.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, there is, and there's a parade. Yeah, it's just celebrating the Swedish heritage of that area. I
I
suppose.
believe it used to be the Rochester Strawberry Festival.
Oh,
Ooh, gonna have to check your notes on that one.
I'm
What does Oakville
pretty
have?
confident.
Oakville had zucchini days for a while there.
They did have
Zucchini.
zucchini days.
They also used to have, wasn't there 4th of July where they did the, every year they would reenact a bank robbery? Do
Oh
you
yeah,
remember
I covered that one year. Great fun.
Yeah, that one was fantastic. And then the bank left town. I mean, there's still the building there, but I don't think they do that anymore. But what a hilarious, annual, the town gathers to remember the time
Oh,
that
yeah,
their
they'd ride
financial
up on
institution
horses
was
and-
robbed.
People cheer for the robbers.
Oh, yeah. If
just a
that one
great
was
bit
still
of,
around, that would probably be my number
Robin
one.
Hood dramatics out there in Oakville. It was great.
And then there, Bucota Festival. That has to
Coda.
count.
It's
So,
Halloween.
Yeah, at least they do that now.
yeah, and they renamed their town too.
Yeah, every year by law.
Yeah. All right, that has been festival season.
That was fun.
Another item, Everett, not Toledo, is the top pick for airport expansion. So I guess we close the saga of the Toledo airport. Will they, won't they?
Well, so the county commissioners wrote and asked to kindly not consider them because of pressure from residents who did not want it there. And we reported that, but then TV News swooped in last week and put the list up again that had Toledo on it, and so I saw many an upset Toledo residents, just noting that they're still on the list. So Claudia actually wrote this story, and basically, if you listen to their discussion, Toledo is not going to. It's not going to happen. Like, it's really not going to happen.
Well, that's kind of what
but they are still on the
told all
list.
along.
So if you live down there and you're concerned about the topic, you can't convince that person that it's no longer a concern when the TV news is still putting you up on the screen as being in the running.
Right.
Well, that's just further evidence that you should get your news from a local newspaper.
Yeah, TV news is fine too.
As a North Sounder, I'm from the North Puget Sound. It kind of makes sense, not to talk down on Toledo because it's a great place out there. But
Have you ever been to Toledo?
I've driven around it.
Do you even know what their festival is?
That's a tough
Cheese
question.
days.
I'm sorry,
Cheese
cheese
days.
days. That's awesome. No, but looking at this story, Everett, it seems like it's just known as an airplane city essentially. Like an airport.
Like it has wings?
Yeah.
Like the Jetsons?
Yeah, kind of. They're essentially the
a-
North Sound equivalent of the Jetsons.
The Mayor Lando Calrissian over there in Cloud City?
Who knows?
All right.
Happy May the 4th too.
One last news item before we jump into a special.
Very important sponsor. I'm excited that we have a sponsor now, Aaron.
So am I. But first, we need to talk about Lewis County crafting mission and vision statements. This is a story that was posted Monday. Lewis County is looking to implement its 5-year strategic plan, and county commissioners are also looking to have a mission and vision statement to guide future projects and policies. So I, for one, am extremely excited to see what they come up with as far as a mission and vision statement. And I can't hide my excitement. One of the big parts of it I really like is they're talking about creating a scorecard for the public to keep track of the county's progress in implementing its plan, which could map out over the next 20 years. I, for one, cannot wait to be in my late 50s, still holding that very same scorecard, reading the newspaper and checking boxes, just like an old man at a baseball game. But the baseball game lasts
just
decades.
make fun of the county for trying to improve themselves and
No, I think
hold
it's a cool
themselves
idea.
responsible.
I'm all for it.
You cynical.
How do you feel about the...
I don't feel very much about it. To be honest with you, I read the story as well. It sounds like just primary functions of a county trying to chart out its course. But, to a less genuine and more cynical man such as yourself, I could see why you get some joy out of it.
Well, pardon me from having a little fun with the news. You want to talk about all the murders in town lately? We'll get to that later.
No, we won't. There hasn't been any murders in town lately.
Look, guys, we got to talk about something pretty important here, though. As Schwartz knows, I like to run a little bit. I don't like to brag about it, but I like to take a morning jog pretty much every day. Sometimes when I get a few miles from home, I need to take a leak, or God forbid, take the real world equivalent of a news dump. So on my runs, I'm always keeping an eye out for stray Santa cans, honey buckets, Porta Johns, whatever I can find. And I'm not going to lie, I've wound up in some pretty dicey situations. But when you're on the run and you got to go, I can tell you firsthand, there's nothing better than stepping into a Goebel sanitation station. You know you're in good hands when you're in a Goebel can. But that's not all the fine folks at Goebel Septic do. I mean, let me ask you guys, who among us has not clogged up a toilet to just an embarrassing degree? Roseanne?
No comment.
Schwartz?
No comment.
Nothing. Wow. I thought we were in the trust tree here, but, Or who has not overfilled a septic tank? Goebel provides septic pumping, cleaning, and inspection services, whether it's emergency work or routine care. You guys can plan these things out. You know when you're going to clog that toilet. And they cover both commercial and residential plumbing issues. They're locally owned, and they provide service to Lewis, Thurston, Mason, Cowlitz, and Grays Harbor counties. Goebel Septic. It's right there on the sign. They're number 1 and number 2. You want to learn more about these fine folks, visit goebelseptic.com. Call them up, 736-2167.
Well done. Well done.
That was very
And thank you
appropriate.
to our sponsor, Goebel Septic. That's quite the unveiling there.
That's great.
That was great. You know what? We're happy to have sponsors.
Also, Global Septic is community-minded. I, about 10 years ago, was the coach of a Global Septic Red Sox Little League baseball team. And I'd like to say that we were very good, but we were very terrible, and I feel like I let Global Septic down in that regard. But today, I'm proud to be represented or sponsored by Global Septic.
By Global Septic.
Mm-hmm. I think we need to get like T-shirts. We can all wear Global Septic #1 and #2 shirts. And that's like the best slogan that any business has.
It is a very strong slogan, yes. So yeah, we're very happy to have Global Septic sponsoring this week's episode of News Dump. And now we move into Tales from the Takes page, aka the opinion section. Our first column up, and this was the most popular column in the paper this week. So, a perfect case of the old guy still got it. Bill Moeller remembers Bo Gritz. So he talks about a guy that talked the Ruby Ridge folks out of their house, and this guy, Bo Gritz, also ran for president with the Populist Party, I believe in the 80s. He wanted to run 4 years before that, Bill reports, but he found out the other candidate on the ticket would be David Duke. Maybe you've heard of him, and he declined that nomination.
Noted racist.
Yes. And then after all of this, Bill also reveals that he started Let's Talk About It, which I was not aware of, and I don't think you were, Schwartz.
I knew he was on Let's Talk About It, but I did not know that he invented it. So he kind of just like dropped that in there, which I felt like was good information to have.
Like the great-great-grandfather of podcasting. And then he wraps it up with, quote, "Speaking of which, can you remember the last time you sat on a stool at a counter and ordered a strawberry malted milkshake in a neighborhood drugstore? I, for one, cannot."
Yeah, he took a strong pivot there in the very last graph. I was very I was into the column and I got to it and I was like, oh yeah, milkshakes.
Yeah, that does sound pretty good.
I never did that.
This chat.
Never at a drugstore.
Yeah, I don't think anybody under the age of like maybe 60 probably has.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so yeah, great stuff from Bill Moeller. Brian Mitke has the week off, so Michael talks about TransAlta reneging on their promise of using mine land for economic development. Do you want to talk about Michael's?
Oh no,
Michael's
I'm going to let you go first.
All right, yeah, Michael makes some good points. And he also outlines how long county leaders have been trying to get some sort of new business in there without any luck. The mine did close in 2006. When is anyone going to move on with it? You know, the people got laid off 15 years ago, and TransAlta helped a lot of those people go back to school. Michael wrote that TransAlta was donating 1,000 acres of land for economic development back in 2007. It was 14 years ago. We've had 2 recessions since then. Like, when is the economic development? When are the county leaders going to put something out there? Like, I haven't heard any strong proposals other than like, well, we could put business out there, which is a great idea in theory. But in practice, I'm just saying we haven't had a lot of leads.
I just feel like your scope is way off. Like you're saying, okay, it's been 14 years. That's good, grand, and wonderful. But say it's another 14 years and then another 14 years after that. But eventually a massive economic development moves in right there as there's less and less land. The permanency of handing the land off to the government to just have makes that never possible. So you're looking 30 years ahead. Secondly, your criticism is like, you're the expert here, right, Aaron? Not Congresswoman Jamie Herrera Butler, not the Lewis County Commissioners, not the Lewis County Assessor.
Well, I have been a Chronicle employee longer than any of them have been in their offices.
I don't know if that's true.
I'm pretty
Diane
sure
Dory?
it is. Okay, not Diane Dory.
I was going to say.
Touche.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time there. But I can see the arguments on each side. But I do see, I think he cited that statistic in his column, something like 60% of the land in Lewis County is locked up already by government agencies, be it the feds or the state or whoever else. And so why would you want to just give up even more land? So I get it.
I get it, but I also it's been all these years and we still don't really have a plan for it. I'd just like to see a concrete plan from somebody, other than what if we put business there?
Perhaps a comprehensive plan?
comprehensive. But, maybe we need a mission and vision statement for what
Sure.
to do with TransAlta's land.
I wouldn't be surprised, given the situation that we're in right now, if there's some sort of plan that comes out of, I don't know, like the Lewis County EDC or something like that here pretty soon, because that
You're
is
saying there's a connection between...
that is what they're missing right now is kind of a strong counter proposal. They do have iPad out there, but I think if they came out with something more solid, something that has the hopes of happening soon, their argument would become a lot stronger.
Yeah, I agree with that. We also had one notable letter to the editor that people were talking about. The title is Cold Turkey, the Key to Breaking Drug Addiction. One particular line in this letter said, many will probably die, but the people who are cured, they rarely return to their old ways. So the problem is this solution. Maybe you'll die, but if you don't, maybe you don't do drugs anymore, which is kind of the
Yeah,
same
I thought it
outcome
was
you would have from driving a car every day.
I thought it was a very cold letter to the editor, certainly. It makes me wonder whether they've had someone in their lives that struggles with drug addiction, because there are families that don't have that. I mean, it seems really odd to most of us who have had a best friend or, a cousin or any relative or friend or anything that struggles with it, because I think once you've seen someone go through it, you realize that it's a little deeper than cold turkey and that's pretty obnoxious as far as a solution to the matter.
Yeah, it definitely seems like simplifying the issue of turning it into like, well, if drugs are bad, why don't you just not do the drugs anymore? And like, it's never that simple.
Right. No, I agree with you.
Do we have a People's Champion of the Week nominee from either of you fellas?
I don't really. No, not this week.
People's Champion of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
Just like somebody that did something cool.
You guys for bringing me on.
Wow.
There we
Our
go.
first nomination.
We'll bring you back.
I was the commenter, by the way, but
I'll throw out Justina Tomtis, our new regional editor.
Oh, yeah.
She was going to be on this podcast. She'll be on it at some point. But she joined us earlier last month, but we just kind of made it official and wrote up a story and put it in all 3 papers. And she is my People's Champion because my workload has gotten much more manageable.
It must be very nice for you. Congratulations.
You're welcome.
Siren's Banger of the Week. There's been a lot of notable crime lately. A few headlines. Little Mosey's rape charges in Randall, which is the most popular story online, I would imagine, by a large margin.
Yeah, very large margin.
I think someone's going to have to explain who Little Mosey is to
He's
the
a
listeners.
rapper.
He's a rap guy.
I did post this to Slack, so I will forgive you if you don't laugh. But I listened to my first Little Mosey song, and he is very guilty of overusing autotune. It's awful.
Commentary right
Interesting.
Bad rap. I'm a big rap guy.
All right. Another headline, bail denied for woman accused of killing Chehalis man. Arrest made in killing of Chehalis man. Chehalis man charged for breaking man's leg in Walmart parking lot. The banger of the week, though, is the guy in a car chase with the police who was pitted into the Napa Auto Parts store on Market Street in Chehalis and happened to have it all caught on video. Great work by Chronicle owner Chad Taylor to get down there and interview the owner of the Napa Auto Parts store, as well as Dusty Breen with the sheriff's office, and get the full story and have it posted to Facebook at the middle of the night last night.
Yeah, it was like after midnight, so I think it was awesome. I can say that's the first time the owner of this newspaper has ever done that, and I can confidently state that.
Yes, definitely.
Did he get a byline?
Yeah, no, he took some photos that we'll end up using,
wow.
and got credit there. But yeah, that was something. That went all the way from U.S. Highway 12 to the Winlock area, then back up this way. That's a long chase.
Yeah.
Yeah. And interesting that you would go all the way from Winlock and then wind up in downtown Chehalis and not the freeway.
You know, I made that comment and someone said, well, he's an Olympia guy, the suspect, so he probably didn't really know where he was going. And if you're on Jackson Highway and just flying, you probably don't think you're just about to run right into a city.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm guessing that's what happened to him there.
All right, shall we move on to Facebook comments of the week? I've only got a few, and then we can wrap up.
Yeah, that sounds great.
On this story, solar farms booming, but where will they go? Somebody commented, what happens to all the organisms that live in the dirt and thrive on light? Maybe some are already endangered. Wind turbines and solar panel fields are only good if they are located in someone else's backyard. Try to put one close to John Kerry's residence and see what happens. And somebody commented sarcastically, I know, right? I'd rather have a coal-burning plant next to my house than a windmill any day. To heck with breathing.
The first guy's right, though, or the first gal. I'm guessing a guy. But the first person I think is right. Like, I wouldn't want that, like, if you have a nice, if you, like in the story, there's a Chehalis couple that has a retirement home, and they got their home just for where it was at, and then you find out that there's this massive solar panel installation coming in, and totally changes the character of your environment, like 100%. You would oppose it, probably.
Yeah, probably.
What if they came on down to the Wanch and just surrounded your house, Aaron, with just like 10,000 solar panels? How would you feel about that?
I'm well insulated with all of the,
I think
farmland surrounding me.
I think you'd be happy for the cheaper electricity, though. I mean,
They probably wouldn't give me any.
no.
It's not like you just get to plug into a solar panel.
I mean,
You're just charging your
you
phone.
never know if you don't try it.
And speaking of electric power, on Twin Transit's post about the electric chargers going up, I think on Mellon Street, the comment just said, "Cool, can't wait until someone shoves meat into it." I don't.
I didn't get that one at all.
I don't know. Are they gonna charge like their Thanksgiving turkey with it? Like,
Yeah,
with,
maybe
like,
that's how they
electric
think
charging?
like ovens work.
Yeah.
I, for one, am really happy that your Facebook comments of the week is extremely short this week.
I just didn't have the energy for it this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of darkness in those comments.
There was I read a lot of comments, and none of them brought a smile to my face, as so often is the case with Facebook. Yeah, I read a lot of them, and I was like, geez, ugh. Anyway, that's Facebook comments of the week. We have concluded our segments. Roseanne, how do you feel you performed on your first appearance on News Dump?
I think that's a good question for you guys. I mean, on a scale from 1 to 5,
We're only going 1 to 5.
or maybe 1 to 10, we can do
I'll put you at a 3.
1 to
A
100.
little too hesitant
Oh,
to
come on.
stand on your ranking system over there. I'll give you a 4. You did it all right.
Oh, thank you.
We never did introduce him either. He was Eric Roseanne was a reporter at the Nisqually Valley News, our sister newspaper in Yelm, for 2 years.
Yep, about 2.5 years. Yeah, that's correct.
Turned down a job at this fine newspaper at least twice.
3 times, I think.
Oh yes, 3 times I was denied before the cock crowed. And now we finally convinced him to come here, and he's doing a fantastic job. So I'm happy to have him.
guys. Yeah, I cover education in the city beats. So if any of you listeners have any stories, feel free to reach out to us.
What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is @RoseanneReports.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's clean. I like to think. And you guys can also catch me on Signal. My number is 360-672-0776.
Just putting the phone number out there.
I'm going for it.
Wow.
Want to hear from you guys.
All right. What's your figure on the city beat? You said.
What's my figure?
What's your favorite city?
Oh, that is difficult. I think there's so many good things in.
Oh, geez.
There's
Is
some
there?
unique. I think there's
The
quite.
correct answer was Chehalis.
No.
Just
Wow.
joking. That's not my personal
Centralia is pretty cool because I just have to walk 20 feet and I'm at the city hall.
I'm a Centralian. I love it.
But yeah, I think they're both cities are quite unique, and there's lots of stuff going on, which is really great for a reporter.
Do love it when the stuff is going on.
Yeah, stuff.
What's coming up in the next edition of the Chronicle? It's coming up Thursday.
Oh, we got lots of stuff coming up. We got a story from Mr. Roseanne here on the Carlisle smokestack being considered for historic status. Mm-hmm. We've
It's out
got
in Alaska.
news on J-Bone, a.k.a. Jay Inslee, pressing pause on his restrictions for 2 weeks, so Lewis County will not be going backwards to Phase 2. Probably frustrating to Cowlitz County, which is stuck in Phase 2, but still, they're there. And then we'll have some updates on that police chase into Chehalis. Lots of good stuff.
All right, and with that, we are going to wrap up this edition of Chronicle News Dump. Just a reminder, you can rate us, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcast. You can also follow us on Spotify or listen to the podcast on crodline.com.
Could you thank our sponsor just one more time? Just a second time. A
Global
number 2.
Septic.
We want to hear it.
It's been great. Thanks, guys.